Welcome, welcome, all knitters, crafters, crocheters. I hope you have your own knitting and you're sitting down and relaxing or crafting in any other way. I'm knitting a shawl, and this is where it all started from today, when I started to think about what I would like to knit next and what actually have been my favorite shawls. But before we get there, let me give a tiny short introduction or notification in Finnish. Moikka, jos olet tullut tänne katsomaan suomalaista podcastia, niin sama jakso suomeksi suurin piirtein samalla sisällöllä löytyy myöskin, että terve menoa sinne, nähdään sillä puolella, moikka. So I just sent off the Finnish viewers who would like to rather chat with me in Finnish to the other podcast, to the other episode that is in Finnish. Okay, so this is where it all started from this time. I've been knitting this September challenge from a Finnish podcast, Villapesuohjelma, and it's a Uumen shawl by Finnish designer Jonna Jolkin. And let me show that to you. It's a beautiful design. I talked about it in the last episode because I was contemplating which yarn to choose for this. And I finally chose, and I think I chose perfectly because this has been such a pleasure to knit. This is the Finnish yarn from Vuonue, and the yarn is called Wilhelmi. And it is a sock yarn, and it has 70% of Finnish lamb wool and 30% of lyocell. And so it's durable and very ecological and totally biodegradable. Not that I want my shawl to be biodegrading very shortly. And antibacterial and all of that. And not that it, it's totally a pleasure in all of the other ways too, but it's just the way that this yarn feels in your hands, and also how it kind of is therapeutically still smelling, particularly the gray that has not been dyed. Well, it might be dyed a little, but at least it still has kind of the lamb color, and they totally smell different. So this one doesn't have that type of a lamb smell there anymore. This is the burgundy, but the medium gray, oh my goodness. I wish you could smell this. It just takes me all the way back to my childhood, visiting a farm. My grandpa's farm did not have sheep, but for some reason the smell is quite similar to their kind of entrance to the house where they kept their barn coats and boots and all of that. And it just takes me right there. So, and with that bit of the smell there, you can be sure that there's also some of that lanolin left, and it just treats your skin, and it just, how wonderful is that? It's not only the finished project, it's the way to get there. It's the yarn, the smells of the yarn, the kind of the feel of the yarn, everything. I just love these. So at the end, I will tell you what kind of a shawl I would like to find next, and I really would like to get your help in case you kind of on the way figure out what type of a pattern I'm looking for, and even yarn suggestions if you have any. And but this is where my kind of thought process for this podcast episode started from. I was thinking that what are the shawls that I've liked to knit most, and I kind of pulled out, I've gifted some shawls. Some of them have been the similar patterns, and it always is, I think, a combination of the pattern and the yarn. And by the way, it has been so nice when for some of the earlier episodes, some of you have commented something like, what are you knitting at the same time? Maybe you're knitting the same pattern, maybe you're using the same yarn, maybe you're using a totally different pattern, maybe you're knitting socks or something. And there have been nice pattern suggestions from people, and I've been totally going through the Ravelry with the things that people have been telling that they're knitting at the same time there. So hopefully if you're knitting something, and I know, for example, when I'm watching YouTube from my TV in the living room, that app in my TV doesn't allow me to comment. It only allows me to subscribe or give a thumbs up, but it doesn't allow me to communicate in any other way. And if I'm using that, I'm not pulling out my computer to write a comment. So I know if it's a hassle, don't go there. But if you happen to be at your computer and you're knitting something that you would like to share with others so that others can also find a nice pattern, please do. First, the most simple one. So this one is simple crescent shaped shawl, and even the name of it is terribly simple. I'm not kidding, seriously. The name is terribly simple, and you can find this pattern in Ravelry, and it's by ffrench. And I made it from 50 grams of lace weight wool mix that I bought from one time when I was in Portugal. The store was called Cat's Ball, and it's like this, I don't know, how would you call this? This is also something that, can somebody please, Andrea Mowry in the last week's episode was talking about different colors, like what is variegated, what is other colors like solids. But is this still like a semi-solid where it's like the color itself doesn't change, but it kind of varies? Please comment below. Is this semi-solid? I consider this a semi-solid, but correct me if I'm wrong, please. But yes, very, very simple, terribly simple shawl. And really 50 grams of lace weight, and I think I used 3.75 millimeter needle, and it gives it a nice drape, and it's nice to wear because it's really small in a way that you can just tuck it at your neck, and if you have a jacket on or something, it's just there keeping your neck warm. So I like that for that. Very also simple to, terribly simple also to wear. Yeah. Okay. Well, the next is one of the, well, this is the first shawl that I knit after like my childhood or something, where I've been making some scarves or something without a pattern. So I think this was my first pattern that I followed shawl. And let me see if I can get this so that you can see it. It's a triangular shawl, and it has these also, can you see these triangles inside of it? And it also has these triangles at the bottom of it. And of course, the name of it, because it has all these triangles, is the, can you see this? Pythagoras Triangle, Pythagoran in Finnish, Pythagoran kolmio. And I don't actually even know, because my math studies were, I think at the time that I learned about the Pythagoras Triangle, maybe you pronounce it differently. Sounds weird when I say it. But anyhow, I've always studied math here and there, and it's been part of my life in many phases. I've even been a math teacher at some point. So one of my professions. So one time I graduated from something, and I wanted to commemorate that with this triangular shawl. And I truly like the pattern. But at that time because it was one of my first kind of patterns that I knit, I have used 3.5 or 3.75 millimeter needle, but my gauge has been really tight. So even though I thought that this would be huge, and it kind of looked like after the blocking that, oh, I made a nice big shawl. It's not that big. Look at it. It barely covers my shoulders. And really when it's that small, it doesn't go that far around the neck, and you just kind of have to really tuck it in. But it has this kind of a cowl-like look if you have it on you and you're wearing a jacket or something. I do like the yarn. Let me check the yarn for you. It's Manos del Uruguay's Fino. And for this one I used more than a skein, like 1.2 skeins, so 120 grams. And 3.5 millimeter needle. I think I could revisit that pattern and make it again from maybe a similar yarn, but with a thicker needle, so that it would give it more drape and kind of make it a bit bigger. Because that was 1.2 skeins, then I had 0.8 skeins left. And this was my project after that. So hold on, it starts from here. And it's just very, very easy, simple shawl where you just kind of have garter stitch, and then you just have this after, I don't know, 8-10 rows or something, you have this side panel that is looking different. And this was such a nice shawl to knit, and it is so nice to also wear, because you have these kind of, can you see how it has this, at least something at the edge when you're making it? That I've made at least 2 of these. I think I made 3 or 4, and I've gifted the others. Always when I feel like, oh, I would like to go for another color, then I pick up another color. This one was a birthday gift, this yarn from my older son. And this yarn is beautiful, hand dyed merino from Lanitium x Machina, and in a colorway Sapling. And I think you can see it in its, see how it has this kind of a bit of teeny bit of orange or yellowish colors in there in between the green. And it really is one of my favorite colors to wear. And it also has this edge here, and it's just so simple to just kind of roll it around. And yeah, one of my favorite patterns. And what is the pattern? It is Justyna Lorkowska's Close to You. And it's a free pattern in Ravelry. And it's just one of those where you have a beautiful color of a yarn and you just want to kind of wrap yourself into that color. I think this is a quick, nice, very usable, nice pattern. So I can highly recommend. Okay, and then for the color, more color, this one. This is Changing Staircases by Dragon Hoard Designs. This is also a free pattern. So your show notes here, people. And also free, I think still free, in Ravelry. And when you look at this, see how it just kind of has this one long edge here, but it's just these kind of lace panels and then stockinette in between. And of course, knitting this is a bit different, because when you're knitting this at the stockinette phase, you always have to go back purling. So that kind of makes it a bit different to make compared to the garter stitch that the Close to You has. But if you don't mind purling back, and it's only those few rows in between the lace, it's really, really nice. And this is similar for wearing, because also when you wrap it around, it has a bit of an lace and the edge there. So I think it looks nice. And this yellow color, I'm not always so fond of yellow, but I really, really like this one. This is from a Finnish dyer. They sell online, so it's called Silmukka. If you Google, I'll link their store below. Silmukka, and it's their Merino single ply 100% merino wool. It's 360 meters in 100 grams. And this is the colorway Curry. I really like it because it's both kind of autumnal, but then last spring I was wearing it a lot and I realized it was really kind of also sunshine, and yeah. So it's the combination of color and yarn, squishiness and softness, and then the pattern and all of that. And I made a 2-stitch I-cord to the end. I think it fit the shawl nicely. Then next, one of my absolute favorites to wear, I'm almost sitting on it here. This one is very interesting. It's called Mint Latte, and it has something very interesting on it. I hope you can see that. It's a round part where you begin it from. Then you have like this edge that is connected to that. And then it's combined to a longer side that is asymmetrical. Hold on, let me show it to you from the correct side, because that was the purling side. So this is the asymmetrical edge at the other edge, and then when I go ooh, here comes the circle, and then at the end of that this. And for this one, it's just the way it's been constructed is just, I think it is really, really different. I like how it sits on the shoulders, and I think I chose a good gauge for this, because of course when you have a good gauge, then when you put it on your shoulders, you can, for example, tuck this longer end of the shawl here, and then you can have the round part kind of hanging, and you have the nice lace, go back a little, you can have the nice lace edging at the front at the same time when you have the interesting round part here. And so it's the Malabrigo Arroyo, and this is the colorway Plume. And it's warm, it's big enough for the shoulders, it just kind of, you can tuck it in, it stays at its place. And if you get a bit too hot, for example at the office during the day, then you can just kind of opening up and leave it hanging, and it's still interesting. So total shout out for this one. Very nice. And the designer is the Skeinwalker, and I think she now has something actively going on with Brios or something. So you can find Skeinwalker also on Instagram, the designer. Then the next one, different, and and probably you've already seen before my PJs. I already said in the Finnish podcast too. I'm sorry, but I don't dress up for knitting, and this is my study, hence my home office during the week. And for me, it's important to change my outfit for the day that I'm working. So when I'm working and I'm in this office of mine during the week, I put on also kind of pants that I would also wear when I'm walking somewhere in the city or at the office, because I want to feel like, and a shirt that I wear for office or something, so that I'm actually having a different outfit for working that I have then for the free time. And when the day is over in the office, then I change back into my kind of cozy outfits for home. And totally PJs for Saturday. Today is a Saturday. And like in the Finnish podcast, I said, I would like to know if you also there are knitting in your PJs. I hope some of you are. But about this shawl, it's very light. It's made out of one skein of kid mohair, hold on, let me look at it. Onion knit silk kid mohair. And look at it. It's just like air. It is just like air. And let me put in here a picture of how it looked before blocking. Okay, see the difference before and after. Now it has these beautiful open lace and the pointy edges and all of that. I have to admit, I've not worn this once anywhere, because when I blocked this, it felt kind of hard, the fabric of it. I think it must have softened up now, and I think it would be nice to wear to different places, with particularly if something black or something like this underneath. And also it's so light but yet warm. So I think now that I dug it out for this visit of yours, thank you for visiting, because I think I really am going to start wearing this one and getting the joy out of this one too. It's just, ooh, ooh, I could be tossing it up in the air. Look at this. Yeah, it's so light and very luxurious. Yeah, maybe I kind of thought that it was too fancy and luxurious once I made it, because I have not worn it. I will now. Okie dokie. Oh, okay. And of course, what is the pattern? You want to know? You're like shouting there, like, don't go away before you show what the pattern is. And it is this Hazy Days. Is it Hazy Days? Hazy Days shawl by Elizabeth Felgate. And it's really a beautiful. I wonder if they also have a different photo of it that I could show there. That's how it looks like, blocked and beautiful. I bet you could also make it from a thicker yarn. What does it call for in the pattern? 125 gram skein of Debbie Bliss Angel silk mohair lace weight yarn, or other similar yarn. Yeah, of course. And shawl used just shy of one skein of 219 yards / 200 meters. So, yep. Okay, then this humongous couch cover of a shawl. Okay, this is the biggest shawl that I've ever made, and this was the first Cozy Up Knits mystery shawl knit along that they arranged 2018, and I love it. You can wrap yourself into it, and it's just really, really warm and nice, but it's so big. It's like I can start from one end and I think I can wrap it around me 5 times, or I can just do it very loosely and leave one side hanging and kind of show the fabric. It's made out of 3 different skeins, and let me check those for you too. Let's see, it has this dark color is the colorway Eggplant, and that is Malabrigo Sock. And then I have Manos del Uruguay Alegria, that I actually have a tiny bit of it left for the green part, a colorway Teal. It's this one here. How do you see it better? Maybe I need to take it off for you. that way. Teal, also kind of semi-solid. And then this colorful part here is Lanitium Ex Machina's how do you call it? It's not, is it gradient? It has tons of colors in it, multicolored. And of course, when it's a mystery knit along, you don't know if, even though somebody says, okay, you need 2 solids, one variegated or whatnot, maybe you don't know how they're going to then be placed. Is it going to be lace or what is it going to be? And I think maybe this Lanitium Ex Machina's yarn would have been better off somewhere where there were no holes. Maybe you can see it now better because, yeah. But I love the colors. It kind of has this type of a blue or teal or greenish blue or something in there that reminds me of this teal that is right next to it. And also some brown colors and something that then kind of go into this eggplant. So in that way, I really, really like these. So this was and is the My Sister Shawl by Cozy Up Knits. They have tons of different shawl designs, and since then there's been more mystery knit alongs with them yearly. This was the only one that I took part in 2018, I think. I wonder if many of you are taking part in the West Knits mystery knit along starting again in August. I think August 8th or 6th. And have you already chosen your yarns? Because for me, I have not knit one West Knits design yet. And since I've never done one from his patterns, I don't think I will start with a project that is a mystery knit along for 5 skeins. So this year's mystery knit along, I think he has 5 100-gram skeins each. And if you think that this was 3, then that will be humongous. That will be like a bed cover for me. And also, I don't need that big of a shawl. I would be really interested in making some of these designs though, because knitting his patterns, everybody tells me they're very interesting with the constructions and the kind of clever ideas that he has in there. And then also the color world that he has, the craziness of everything. I love that. But I think I'll have to wait until he has something that is like maybe 200 grams of fingering weight yarns, maybe 450-gram skeins or something like that. But I think I'll definitely keep my eyes open for that. I am following this year's West Knits mystery knit along hashtags in Instagram, so totally enjoying the color selections that people are making. I did look at the video that he made from his yarn store for the different kits that they had selected for this project. Did you see that? Oh, go see that if you didn't see it, because it's like color therapy when you look at all those skein options, and it's really hard not to buy any. But also I could not choose only one kit, so maybe that makes it easier not to buy. But anyhow, my dream knitting is now, since I've totally fallen in love with the Uumen huivi, my dream knitting next is to make a shawl that is kind of, I don't know, maybe if it should be triangular so that it's bigger. And I want it to be really this kind of old-fashioned Finnish lamb wool type of yarn that is the warmest ever. And I want to learn more about the yarns, the Finnish yarns, because the Finnish lamb wool, I don't know how you call them even in English, and what is the difference, and how can you see it from different yarn labels, or how can you tell, for example, the difference between woolen spun and different types of yarn, and is there actually kind of like a difference in where you should be using them? What are they most useful for? I'm rambling, but that's kind of what I'm trying to learn. And I really would like to find a pattern that is maybe triangular, just like the triangular shawl that I showed you, but maybe it could turn a little bit so that it would be more easier to wrap myself into, or maybe it just needs to be huge and from thicker yarn or something like that. If you have any ideas, just share them with the others in the comments, and maybe we can combine ideas together to the next shawl. Then about YouTube shoutouts. Where did I put my thingy? Where did I put my thingy for the shoutouts? Here. Well, of course, because already mentioned, Cozy Up Knits, because their podcasts, most of you probably are familiar with them. I've been following them for years. There are 4 sisters. They're in Alberta, Canada. I think all 4 of them have a various number of dogs. At least 3 of them have kids. There's their mom who makes project bags, and you can buy them from her Etsy store. There's the grandma in the background. There's tons of speaking about different things. There's always so many things about different projects and yarns, and so it's always very kind of bright and motivating. I love their podcast. Never miss one episode. And then something that is in Finnish, in case you are both Finnish and English speaking, or at least listening person. So this Kässäpuoti. That is the store that is in the countryside of Finland that sells, for example, this yarn. And their podcast really gives me more information about different patterns that I could be using to utilize Finnish lamb wool. So, and they also sell those yarns. So by finding the podcast, you may find their website. I could actually just link it below. Yeah. But anyhow, it's Saturday, and I am enjoying the wooliness of everything that I have here. And I think I'm going to be just kind of getting my project bag full of the yarns and stuff that I'm making, and probably will just get myself into the corner of my living room couch and turn on the TV and start watching different podcasts from the big screen, and enjoying the fall and the coziness of yarn. I hope you're enjoying it too. Thank you for visiting. I'm glad you made it this far. I hope to see you again. Have a very, very nice weekend or week or whatever time it is that you're watching this. Okay, thanks. Bye.